What's up, everybody? How's it going? It's your girl, Anu here for Just Keep Jamming, the podcast, episode number 31. We are calling this 31, season 3. It's been over a year that we've been doing these Just Keep Jamming podcasts, and it has been such an amazing experience for me, life-changing. Got to speak to so many incredible people. And this week, I have yet another one that I'm so excited to share, to have you all meet. And her name is Kristine Kozuki. Kristine, can I get a whoop whoop?
Hi, everyone. Thanks for the honor to be on the show. Thank you.
Thank you. Kristine is so many things. I'm going to let her really give her proper introduction, but I met her recently at the Pink Moon Aura, shop in Moloka'i, and I got my aura photographed, and I posted about this on my Instagram. It was one of the most incredible experiences of my life. It helped kind of, catapult me onto this new level of growth and ascension and just consciousness. And I just want to take as much information from her amazing, beautiful mind and share it with all of you. And she's down too. So Kristine, if you wouldn't mind, take a couple of minutes and just tell us, who you are, where you're from, how did we meet?
Of course. Yeah. So I'm a Maui girl, just like you, from Maui. Born and raised in Wai'ehu. And, that's kind of how I got really into spirituality is, Wai'ehu is kind of like an energetic place. People from Maui kind of know that Wai'ehu has a vibe. I mean, it's beautiful. It's the most amazing place to grow up, but, it has history. There's energy there. And I kind of feel like that's kind of how I got into it. My parents weren't spiritual or religious. So there was just things that I could feel, I knew that there was vibes there and no one could really like explain it to me. And it just sparked a curiosity. Additionally, I always felt kind of lost, I would say. I didn't feel like I was the same as a lot of people. There was just things I could feel, things that I felt like were just off. I mean, that's really what energy is, right? It's basically feeling something that you're not able to see or touch, which is for the human mind, it's, we need to be able to grasp and see something and feel it and touch it to understand it. But energy is really just something that's felt. So as a teenager, I kind of dived deep into lots of different religions and kind of took bits and pieces of things, spirituality, religions that I felt like I resonated with, just to kind of connect with God and source in my own way. In my 20s, I actually got into Reiki, and that's something that I feel like just fell into my lap. It was a game changer. It changed my world. And it took me on this amazing journey that I'm on now. It's just been, life-changing. I actually got into the aura photography in 2018. I was on a bachelorette kind of bridal party in Sedona, and I got my aura photo read, and it was amazing, but I kind of felt like I could do that and provide a much more in-depth experience, given what I know and what my knowledge and my experience was with Reiki and just learning about chakras and all the things that I've done over the years. So I got into the aura photography in 2018. I was in a big island doing it mobily. I just decided last year, I'm like, you know what? I'm ready to take a leap and, offer a space where I can provide healing and a one-on-one with people so that people can truly understand their energy. And really what it is kind of people think that it's very like, hippie trippy, which it is, but there's a lot of science to it, which I think is the most interesting and unexpected thing about the experience itself is it's very scientific. It's very logical. So it's something that people can see, something that they can understand and wrap their minds around. So when you're able to wrap your minds around that, right, you're more opted to connect to God, connect to source and connect to spirit. So that's really what this is all about, is allowing us to connect to God, to source in a way that makes sense, in a way that's personal, and to understand our own energy so that our lives can be much more effortless and easy. So it's all about the experience at the end of the day, right? Do we want to live really complicated, like stressful lives? No, we want everything to really be effortless and free flowing. And when we're in the energy and we're flowing and we know what parts of our energy need attention, we're really able to do just that and effortless without really doing anything on our part. So it's really important work. And it's been an amazing journey. And I'm just really stoked to share this, on this platform.
Oh my gosh. I want you to give us, if you wouldn't mind, just the basics of what an aura is and what are the chakras. Like,
of course, I would love to. Well, the thing is our energy is always fluctuating. So when you're taking the photo, that is your energy, that moment in time, in that present time. So it could change. It could very much well change. It'll probably be different later in the day, tomorrow. It's always changing depending on what we're experiencing, what we're thinking, what we're feeling, where we live, who we're surrounding ourselves by, what our thoughts are. And it does affect us on so many levels. And energy is very quick, so it moves fast, right? So the aura tells us a little bit more of presently what we're vibrating in that moment in time, like our energy, right? And we pick up on that. We meet people and we're like, oh, that person's cool, or, oh, that person kind of has a weird vibe. I'm not sure what it is, right? We pick up on that. So I think people understand the aura a little more. I think that it's something that people just kind of generally know, that it's like a vibe, it's a presence. It's your personality in that moment in time. It's basically the energy that you're bringing, right? So even the size is different. Some people have smaller auras. Some people have larger auras. Like Anuhia has a very large one, obviously, because she's a musician and is like larger than life, right? So, but that's her purpose. And that's kind of the energy that she does need to bring in, what God has given her. And all of us kind of have these special little gifts and energies that we, need to utilize in this life. But the aura is just that. It's your energy. It's your vibe. What I did want to tell people, though, because people really want to like understand and know themselves, right? And one thing I do reiterate is like, look, don't put yourselves in these little boxes, right? People are always like, this is my personality. This is who I am. I'm an Aries or whatever. I like to do this. But really, it's like we're a million different things in a million different. We're always experiencing life. We're always like, up and down and all around. And you know what? That's just what it is. That's what the energy is. It's neither good or bad. It's just what is. So if we're mindful of that and we don't categorize ourselves, we're not limiting ourselves, which leaves us to still have limitless potential and energy. So I always tell people like, look, the aura photography, the chakra readings are more there to kind of give you a gauge on what's happening in your current life so that you know how to improve it, to better yourselves. It's not there to tell you who you are. You have to figure out who you are. And don't put yourself in those little boxes. Don't be like, oh, this is what I do. No, you can do everything. You can do it all. You can be anyone, right? So if you have that mindset, that is the energy that you're going to bring forth into your energy. So that's something I really, really reiterate when I do the aura photos, because people come in with an idea. Really, it's about the education and bettering ourselves at the end of the day. Now, the chakras are a little more detailed. And while I think people come into the shop for aura photography, the chakra portion is actually, I think, the most interesting part of the actual readings, because people
I can attest that was true for me. I was fascinated by the chakra reading too. I didn't even know that was part of what you do. And I was like,
yeah. And a lot of people are like, oh, what? I didn't know this was included, but it's, there's so much in the session itself. But the chakras really are our swirling energy centers. So we have a lot of chakras actually all over our body, but I focus on the main 7, which I'll kind of go through. The main 7, they're basically swirling energy centers within a specific part of our mind, body, and spirit that tells us in detail, like what is happening in that particular area or body part in our, physical aspect of our being. So it's very detailed. It's very interesting. The sizes change, the shapes change. When there's too much energy, they're what I call considered overactive, meaning too much energy is going in there. When they're underactive, there means there's not a lot of flow going in there. So what we want to do, and the goal is to balance the chakras. right? And when we're balancing them, they're not too big, they're not too small, they're not misshaped. They're all the right size so that energy can flow through in and out, which will in turn make our lives much easier and effortless. So when I go through the chakras, I will explain just how that happens. And we have those days where we wake up and everything just feels really effortless. We're like, oh, everything's going my way. This is great. That's an indication that, you know, the chakras are in balance, things are in flow, things are just kind of happening on their own. But when the chakras are a little out of balance, you know, we can feel like we're almost fighting a current at times, like, you know, take 2 steps forward, 5 steps back. It just feels like an ongoing struggle or ongoing, you know, current. When we photograph the chakras, we know which ones are overactive or underactive, and we can actually pinpoint and be like, okay, look, this chakra is underactive. You want to route your attention and your energy to here so that you can better balance them out. When they're balanced, energy just flows, and there's almost very little you need to do to manifest really the life that you want to create. So very, very interesting. And that's just touching it, right? It goes very in depth.
I love that. Yeah, she showed me my chakra sizes from my head all the way down to my root, from crown to root, and different sizes and the different shapes of them. Like ideally, they're supposed to, as you said, like a swirling energy center would be a nice and round and symmetrical, correct?
Right.
But then if not, they could be maybe more scattered and faded or different. Yeah. So that was interesting just to look at with your eyes to see clearly this one is a little underactive or overactive. Yeah. And it made just total sense. Do you want to go through each one? Like,
yes, I would love to. So I'm going to go over the main 7. And I'm going to start from the crown. I like to always start. I notice whenever you do like meditations, they always start from the root. I like to start from the top. So the first one is the crown chakra. So crown chakra is located at the top of the head. It is our most spiritual chakra. So it's our direct connection to God. It's basically how we receive our downloads. You know, it is basically that feeling of knowing that there's something greater than ourselves. It allows us to help us connect to our purpose. And we get those thoughts from source, right? We get our purpose from source, our gifts from source. And when we're connected to that, we're able to receive those messages. Now, when they're closed or when they're underactive, we're closed off to God, closed off to source. So sometimes we get depressed and we're like, what am I doing with my life? You know, Lord knows I've had those moments a few times. Like, what am I doing? I'm just floating around. I'm just like, what's my purpose? Right. And in reality, I lost my connection to God, you know, and that was really around, I want to say right before I started doing Reiki. You know, I was kind of more in a party vibe and a party mode, which nothing wrong with that, right? It was a part of my process. But really, I did feel that way. I felt like, okay, what am I doing? Like, what's my purpose? And I felt kind of depressed and sad. And that's really because the crown chakra was closed and I really wasn't open to it until I reached out and I said, hey, look, I have to figure out, you know, what it is I'm going to do with my life. And the download was go to the Big Island, which is crazy because I never thought I would live there, but I was there for 10 years and it gave me the spiritual practice that I needed. I got really deep into Reiki. That's where I really learned in-depth chakras and just really dove deep into the metaphysical and that whole spiritual world. So it was a huge part of my growth and that, you know, it was all a part of the process. So crown chakra is very, very crucial part. They're all very important, but, you know, the crown is one of the more important ones just because it's our connection to God. It also rules our neurological system, our brains, kind of that upper portion of our physical bodies. A third eye is what I call the GPS of the soul. So it's that little voice that kind of tells us like, hey, maybe you should do this. Maybe you should go here, or no, don't go hang out with those people because, you know, it's our guide. It's our GPS, right? It's also how we visualize and how we manifest, right? So once we get the download, you know, or the idea, we're like, okay, what does this idea look like? How do I see it? How do I visualize it? It's kind of like seeing it before it comes into physical form, right? It's kind of like the blueprint in a lot of ways. When the third eye is overactive, we tend to kind of worry more. There's more thoughts coming in and out. And, you know, I read that we have something like 60,000 thoughts a day in our heads. It's crazy. So obviously it's easy for our third eyes to become very overactive. In fact, women almost always have really overactive third eyes because we're like thinking and planning all the time, a million different things all at once. But when we quiet that, we're able to trust our decisions a little more. If it's overactive, we can tend to be indecisive. So, listeners, if you're out there, if you're really indecisive about things, you could have an overactive third eye, chakra. Idea is to quiet it. Meditation always is the best way to quiet that down. And the idea is really like stripping away the noise, right? Taking away all the 60,000 thoughts and being silent so we are able to visualize the plan and how we are able to see the life that we want to create, right? Because the visualization process is really important. And that is right in the middle of our eyes, literally the third eye. It is also connected to our sinuses, our ears, our eyes. So physically, that's what they're connected to. Throat chakra, obviously located in the throat. It's the happy balance between knowing when to speak your truth and also knowing when to have a filter. So that's how you keep your throat chakra balanced. It is how we communicate. It's how we express. Also a super crucial chakra, just because we feel so much. And when we create, I think, Anuhea, you use your throat chakra quite a bit because you feel all these things, right, that is created within your sacral chakra, your emotions. And then that energy rises up and you're like, look, I need to express it and let it out. And really, that is the ideal way to express your energy, not in a way that is hurtful or unkind and not productive, but really the most beautiful form of self-expression. A lot of people think they need to be confrontational to exercise their throat. No, you don't. A lot of times it's underactive because we don't want to cause conflict and so on and so forth. For me, I always have an overactive throat. I got a lot to say all the time.
Maui girl, that's why. Gee.
Oh yeah, that's all the way. And they always say that local girls kind of have overactive throats, but it's because we care so much. We got a lot to say.
This group too, no matter where they are, they all get the throat chakra Maui tira inside them too.
Right, exactly. I always say I have an angel on my right and a tira on my left. The tira is who protects me, and she's like, "Girl, you better say something." That's kind of like but it obviously makes my throat a little overactive. But I do have to ask myself, is it kind? Is it helpful? Is it necessary? Is it true? Right? Because really what we're expressing, what we're putting out into the world is so important and it's energy, right? So we really have to be mindful of the things that we're saying and the things we're putting out into the world because it affects everyone. On the contrary, when it's underactive, you're not saying anything. And I feel like I get a lot of people who have underactive throat chakras because, again, they don't want to cause conflict. They don't want to, cause a rift or, rock the boat, right? So that is basically what happens when it's underactive. Now, it's connected to our throats, our thyroids, as well as our jaws. And one thing I wanted to express about the physical aspect of the chakras is that it is connected to our bodies physically. So when we're not processing correctly, it can come into, something physical. Like I had a girlfriend who had lockjaw, right? And then of course I'm like, are you not saying something that you want to say? Oh yeah, girl, there's a lot of things I want to say that I don't say. But definitely I'm like, girl, you have to say it. Sure enough, lockjaw went away right after that when she expressed her truth and what was in her.
Ah, that's incredible.
So obviously you always want to go to a doctor first. Don't assume that it's your chakras. But if, a lot of times doctors don't know what's happening with us. And if that's the case, then you want to question and be like, hey, is something within my energy I'm not processing? We want to be mindful of that too, because it is definitely a factor. Moving down to the heart chakra. Heart chakra is is basically knowing when to give out sufficient amount of love and then giving yourself sufficient amount of love. Now, this is what I want to clarify because people get confused. Like, wait, which is more important? Should I give or should I receive? Like they're not sure which one goes first, right? But the idea is you want to always make sure your cup is full first, right? Yeah, you got to make sure you're giving yourself all the love first because you can't give from an empty cup, right? If your cup is filled with anger and hate and sadness, that is what you're going to give out, right? So you want to make sure that you're good, you're happy, your cup is full. And when you do, you'll be able to give with love. You'll have so much love, it's overflowing so hard that you can give it out and be like, and feel really good about it, right? When people don't have, when their heart chakras are underactive, overactive, they're giving too much, right? Hawaii, we have that problem a lot because we want to give away our whole house, which is such a beautiful thing. It really is, like it's just our culture, and we really want to give it our all, our hearts, our souls, but really we got to know when to give love to ourselves. When we're giving from an empty cup, we tend to give more with resentfulness, or we'll give and be like, oh, that person needs to do this for me, or whatever it is. Like there's an expectation. And when you're giving, it's not coming from the most sincere and beautiful place. So very important to fill your cup. And then when your cup is full, you can give out that love without any expectation. It's just a beautiful exchange, right? The heart chakra is also connected to our immune system. So health-wise, if your heart chakra is imbalanced or closed, you're more prone to getting sick, colds, viruses, and so on and so forth. It's also connected to our lungs, our breath, our chest. So physically, a very, very important chakra to stay balanced. When it's underactive as well, people do tend to be kind of more closed off, or they're more guarded. So a lot of people will be like, oh my gosh, my heart chakra is so small. Does that mean I'm heartless? I'm like, no. It just means that, you're maybe more, protective of your energy, right? And sometimes to do that, you just need to give yourself love, surround yourself in a place, the colors have frequency as well. So, I always tell people like, look, if you're not ready to be around people, just go on a beautiful hike, surround yourself in the green, because just being in the green is very healing. Plants also don't have ego. Human beings have ego. So, we are who we surround ourselves with, right? And if we're around nature all the time, it's like our energy just naturally syncs up to it. So yeah, it's heart chakra, very, very important to keep open, keep balanced. Moving down into the yellow or the solar plexus chakra, it is located, I would say, right below our rib cage and above our belly buttons. It is our solar plexus. It is basically our life force energy. It's the energy that we need to get things done every day. So when we go to work, doing all the things, mommies, we're doing all the lunches, we're getting the kids prepared, we're, doing all the chores, doing all the things, going to work, the physical life force it takes to get things done. That is the yellow solar plexus chakra. It's also connected to our self-esteem, as well as our willpower. So when it's balanced, we feel really good. We feel really healthy. We feel strong, and we feel really confident all the time. So again, very important chakra as well. And it is connected to our digestive systems. Moving down to the sacral, which is the orange chakra. It's right below the solar plexus, more where our reproductive system is. I did want to mention, because, us women, we always go super hard, even when we're on our cycles. As, back in the day, the Native American Indians can go to the moon lodge and cruise and do all the things, eat good food, do all the crafts, and just really nurture themselves. In this modern,
when they had their period, they used to oh my God.
Yeah. So it was because all the women were together, they actually were synced up. So during that time, they didn't work. They just hung out, played music, did all the beautiful.
Life revolved around that.
Exactly. Because they understood how important the cycles were and what it does on our energy. Now, basically, women, that is the chakra that is the most messed up, I would say, with all the women. We always have, it's rare that a woman will come in with like a super balanced sacral chakra. Basically because we're like, we're emotional beings, and really a lot of our energy stems from that part of our energy system. And And really, if you think about it, I know this sounds terrible, but I mean, we're really only like good 1 week out of the month, if you think about it, right? Because we're like either going into it or out of it, right? So it would make sense that it's like not always balanced, right?
PMS or post MS.
Yeah, exactly. And then when you're on it, you're like, oh, I'm so tired, like I can't do anything. So I always tell women, like, look, be very mindful of your cycles, your emotions, because it's very important. It can do a number on your energy. Sacral chakra is also connected to our emotions, our reproductive system, our hormones. So if you're going through anything hormonally, that will affect that as well. It's also connected to sexuality and joy and pleasure and all that really amazing energy as well. So a lot going on in that chakra as well. Now, root chakra, the root of it all, the red chakra, the root chakra is located at the base of our spine, basically. And the root is the most physical chakra. So the upper chakras are more internal. When they cross through the heart, the chakras are more affected by external things, right? More physical things that are in your world. Now, the root is our most physical chakra. It's food, water, shelter, security. It's how grounded you feel, how safe you feel. So if you're worried about money, or you're fearful, or you don't like where you live, or you don't like where you work, or, that root will be rocked. You won't feel really secure. You won't feel safe. You won't feel grounded. And really, we do need to feel grounded a lot of the times, because while spirituality is beautiful, I always tell people, like, look, I'm spiritual, but we got to remember we live on earth. So we gotta still stay really grounded and mindful. Spirituality is beautiful, but we really gotta mind all of the aspects of our energy, because they're all really important. So that's kind of the overview, just kind of touching. It goes real in depth, but that's kind of the basis of the chakras. I did want to mention, since I've come in the Big Island, I've had a few people that have had perfectly aligned chakras. So in Big Island, I would have, every now and then people with aligned chakras. In Maui, I've only had one girl that has had perfect chakras. And what I've realized with people with perfect chakras, they're not necessarily like, super yogis or highly spiritual people. They're really just people who are living their best lives because they have a really good perspective on things, right? And a couple of things, they're always outdoors. That's one thing that they have in common. So they're either like, oh yeah, I go surf every day, or I'm a farmer, I'm a florist, like they're outdoors all the time. Another thing is they're really living their life's purpose and doing something that brings them a lot of joy, right? So those are kind of the two things I've noticed that the people with aligned chakras have in common. So, and I have the system, and I think I've had aligned chakras like once. And it was like, I want to say the first, and I really did feel really good. It was when I was doing the market and everything was really flowing in my life, but since then, unfortunately not. So,
but that's interesting.
Always a work in progress. So
someone like you, we're no one's perfect, or hardly anyone is. And you said it can come and it can go. Like that's exciting to hear and know. And I think that everyone in this room also can attest, like, yeah, there have been times where you probably feel like, wow, like I'm on a roll right now. Like things are going my way.
So I think there's a lot of factors in play. If we love where we live and we love the people that we're around all the time, like we can get in flow that way as well. If we surround ourselves with really good people and good influences, that energy only multiplies and everyone kind of picks up on it. The same way, if there's just like one bad apple, right? Like it can ruin it for everybody. So yeah.
So after we had our meeting, I went out and I purchased a bunch of fresh flowers and plants. Well, straight from where we left your place, we stopped at that sunflower field.
I saw.
Oh my gosh. I have goosebumps just thinking about it, just being surrounded. I mean, it's kind of like a little touristy destination that wasn't there when we grew up on Maui, right? Like that sunflower field was never a thing, but whatever. Like we stopped and I was like, George wanted to stop, but I was like, no, we got to go. I'm like, he said, come on, Anu, come on. I'm like, okay, let's do it. And I'm
awesome.
Just like, some breaths
Love
there.
George.
Yes. And George's chakras were way more symmetrical and aligned than mine, which was interesting. And also his aura size was like half the size of mine, which, and he's a performer as well, but he's a supporter,
Right. Right.
musician to me. And I think that that's why, we love him so much. But hearing his aura was a little smaller than mine, it just made sense. Like, it wouldn't have made sense if his aura was huge, because I'd be like, that's not you.
Yeah,
like,
no, totally.
Humble. It's like more, I guess it's humble. I don't want to say I'm not humble because my aura stay big, but I know what you mean about aura size. And one of the coolest takeaways from our meeting was how you associated each Hawaiian island with a different chakra. Like, I was like, absolutely. It made total sense. Would you mind sharing that little?
Yes, I love sharing this because I was in hospitality. So, and but being born and raised on Maui, in Hawaii, you meet so much people, and everybody's like, people from the mainland, they're like, oh, I love Maui. Maui's my island. Or, oh no, I go Big Island. I always go Big Island every year. And, being in hospitality, you see the same people returning to the same island, to the same place. And it's kind of like, why though? Like, and they'll say like, oh, because I like this or whatever it is, amenities, whatever it is. But really, people are attracted to the islands because there's a vibration, right? There's something within your energy that you're seeking.
Everyone in this room loves Hawaii. I mean, these guys are all fans. They've all been to Hawaii. And I'm just curious. I want you guys to really pay attention. Like, what does this say about you? Maybe that you didn't even know when you find, because each of us has our own favorite island.
Right.
Let's go. Girl, tell us.
Yes.
Tell us.
All right, great. So I'm going to start from the top down again. So Ni'ihau is kind of like considered like the forbidden island, right? So when we tie into chakras, basically it is the crown chakra. So basically the crown chakra is not necessarily something that's forbidden. The state of enlightenment is not something that everyone attains, right? So to become enlightened, you're literally like just unfazed. So you're enlightened when you don't have any triggers, really, like nothing phases you. You don't take anything personally. You understand that there's a greater reason, there's an understanding of all things, right? So that's kind of what the crown chakra is. It's the spiritual chakra. It's our connection to God. And Ni'ihau is just that. It's the state of enlightenment. And not everyone can get there, right? Physically, if you think about it, right? Now, third eye is actually Kauai. So people who are routed to Kauai are typically people who are seeking more meditation and spirituality. Also, historically, a lot of kahunas will actually go to Kauai to become kahunas. So that's widely known historically. It's just something that people do. They typically will be routed to Kauai to become kahunas. So that is more of the third eye chakra energy. Now, Honolulu or Oahu is the throat chakra, which is the communication hub, right? It's where we network. It's where all the networking is. It's self-expression. So, and a lot of people typically will be like, go to Oahu for business or whatever it is. It's to meet people. They're kind of more wanting to be more in that kind of networking and social energy, right?
News is based out of Oahu, right? Like, yeah.
Right.
A hub.
Heart chakra is Moloka'i, and Moloka'i is the only island in the history of Hawaii that has never been affected by war. The lepers also were there. Father Damien was there, the saint. So there's a lot of that amazing, beautiful heart chakra energy. So typically people who are routed to Moloka'i are kind of seeking more of that heart chakra energy, right? Now, moving down, we have Lana'i, which is the yellow chakra. It's the solar plexus. It is the life force energy. It is the willpower. It is the self-esteem. And historically, Lana'i is where they chose to grow all the pineapples because the sun hits the hardest there, which is funny that it's solar plexus, right? Also, it is the birthplace of cliff diving, if anyone didn't know that. So, and if you think about it, you do need a tremendous amount of courage and self-esteem to do just that. So it's funny that that is originated there as well. My favorite, Maui, which is really interesting. And if you think about it, Maui, and I've seen this online, but Maui has been voted like favorite island, like I don't even know, like 100 times in a row or something crazy like that. I always see it, I'm like, Maui again, like, okay, well, like makes sense. I don't disagree with that. But really, Maui is the sacral island. It is enjoyment, it's pleasure, it's desire, it's sexuality. It's where all the whales come to mate and have their babies. It's where all the honeymooners come, right? You know that saying, Maui is for lovers, right? I mean, it makes sense. It's the sacral island. And most people escaping just want to have fun. They want to enjoy their families. They want to just have a great honeymoon. So that's why I think Maui is kind of the favorite, because it's really a lot of the energy that people are seeking. Just, you know, a time out from their regular lives, their regular day to day, just to have some fun and, you know, raise their families and spend time with their families or their husbands or their wives. So really, really interesting. Um, and then the root chakra, which is also, you know, Big Island is also my second home, which I just love and adore. I sometimes cry when I see photos, as I just love the island so much. It has given me such grounding. And, you know, I was very scattered and very lost. And being in the Big Island really helped to ground me, ground my energy, helped me to really think about what was important, that, you know, to figure out what made me feel safe, secure, and stable, right? And when you fly into Big Island, you just see lava everywhere, right? It's just rocks everywhere. So the energy is very grounding there, right? And that is natural obsidian, which automatically takes a lot of that negative energy away, right? We have those kind of black obsidian stones that are real popular, they're crystals, but really lava is obsidian, right? So there's a grounding there that I think people are seeking. So typically people who are seeking solitude, a grounding, more of a foundation, will be routed to the Big Island. And then being in hospitality, I've seen just that. There are people who are more busy, who are just don't want to be bothered. They don't want to socialize. They just want to be in their space and in solitude. So the Hawaii island chain is a very, very special place. People, there's thousands of islands in the world, but not like Hawaii. Everybody knows Hawaii. You know, you go to Europe, you go wherever, everybody knows, oh, Hawaii, you know, and there's no one ever says like, oh, Hawaii. You know what I mean? Everybody has the same reaction. Oh my gosh, you know, and there's a thought, because it's a vibe, right?
A vibe.
Heals us, and it's just such a beautiful thing. So
okay, I wanna move along and just make sure that we touch on this amazing topic too, because like I mentioned earlier, maybe we were recording, maybe we weren't, but after I had my, you know, session with you, you reached back. I sent you a mahalo email and you said, hey girl, I'm also doing Reiki, like, and also distance Reiki. And I had to look up what distance Reiki was. I understood Reiki to be the movement of energy,
right,
for your body. And I always thought it had to be, because I've received it a few times, which was amazing. Like right before I would go on shows, my anxiety has always been super heavy, especially during me trying to figure out my right medications, going through a breakup, going through a lot of loss and mourning different losses in my life. My anxiety would get out of control. So I've received Reiki, which absolutely felt like it was helping me. But then you said that you can even do Reiki in distance form. And so all you have to do is, like tonight, just know that I will be, you know, sending you good vibes your way. Just be open to receive it. And I was like, okay. And so
I know it sounds really trippy. You know, that's why. Yeah.
No, well, I'll just say like that night I laid in bed, and then my little son, who was like, you know, mom, trying to talk to me while we're laying in bed. And I'm like, I put on some music, like some good vibe music. And I'm like trying to lay there and like receive whatever you're sending me. And he's like, mom, what about this Pokemon card? Can you buy me this? Can you buy me that? Like, mom is actually someone's praying for mommy tonight. And we need to be really calm and really quiet tonight, because someone's sending us really good vibes and praying so that we can have like an awesome life. Can we be quiet and receive it together? And so he's like, oh my gosh, totally. And so like he was on that vibe with me. And then I swear it was like 48 hours after that, I got the the call to be on this movie. And I don't know, I'm giving you that credit, girl. You were the one who helped
No, it's not me, but thank you. That's so sweet.
Well, you helped me at least, I don't know, open my heart to receive, because that was what happened right after that. And I want to do more. I want to book more distance Reiki sessions with you. And
I would love to send you more. I enjoy sending Reiki because I get it too, but it comes from source, right? And I know it. And this is the thing, is it's hard when I first meet people who don't understand Reiki, because it sounds really trippy. And I'm like, I want to stay very credible, but I understand how effective it is. I've been there and I've been working with this energy. So just so everyone understands what Reiki is, it was founded by a doctor named Dr. Usui. So Reiki is actually, if you think about it, not that old. It's about 100 years old. It is a Japanese healing technique where you do need to be initiated by a Reiki master. So you train. Reiki master teaches you how to clear your own energy within your energy field. So what it is basically a Japanese healing technique developed by a Japanese doctor about 100 years ago. So it's not that old, right? And when I explain it, I know it's still kind of like, okay, but like, how does the energy work? Like, how is it filtered? The thing is we have this energy within us. And a lot of times as we get older, that battery is not as strong. So when you get attuned, basically the master is just activating that energy within you. And when you get initiated, you're able to feel this energy in your hands. And it's amazing. It's like, if you receive it in person, your hands kind of feel like oven mitts. So they get real hot. So I can tell when people are really open to it or they're close to it. I can just feel it, because the amount of energy that goes through is so obvious and so apparent that it's unbelievable. It's almost like receiving a hug from God.
So if anybody is interested in visiting Kristine,
of course,
her website is pinkmoonauramaui.com. You can look at testimonies of experiences. I love how it says your intuition led you here. And I really, truly believe that, you reaching out to me was meant to be, because I really do want to continue working with you. Felt a connection with you, girl. And
what is funny is like, I almost feel like I heard a little voice that was like, hey, reach out to her. I'm not even joking. I feel like, cause like, it was just like a random thought. And I'm like, why? I mean, I've always been a fan, right? Like it's really funny how it all kind of synced up, but for sure.
Like, there's not many people who take the plunge and really devote their lives to helping others in this way, and to have someone that's so relatable and so cool like you. Now that we're getting to know, and you have everything so set up so beautifully, like in beautiful little packages where, there's or a portrait and reading, or a portrait chakra reading and sound healing, balancing, like you have, different packages.
Like I said, I do need to make a living, but I do it because I really want to help raise the vibration of the planet, one person at a time. Like, it brings me so much joy, and I just feel like it's helped me so much. And, I've been on this journey of life, lots of ups and downs like everybody else, and it's so effective, and it has helped me on so many levels. And if I can just do this and really get the message out there and have people understand themselves and their own energy, I mean, it's huge. And I kind of want to share this because it's so important. A lot of people will be like, my family will tell me like, you spend a lot of time with people. It's just like one person. But I'm like, I've been reading a book by Sir David Hawking, not Stephen Hawking, but David Hawking, who is a famous quantum physicist. And he said that basically, if you just operate on optimism daily and you live from a non-judgmental point of view, you can in turn affect the lives of 90,000 people over the course of your lifetime. So every person, one person, 90,000 people. So do you see how important it is for our energy to be aligned and in a good place? Because when we're happy, everybody is happy. And in this day and age, there's so much happening, shootings, war in Ukraine. There's so much division. We're always like, how can we help? Like, how, do we give money? Like, is it even going to something, good? Like, we don't know. And we're in Hawaii living our best lives, but really we want to help. We all want to be a part of that. And really we can help by just being kind to each other, not being judgmental, choosing to uplift each other, to be kind to each other. That's how we save the world, really.
Oh my God.
So I'm so stoked to be able to deliver this message, because this is why I do it, really, at the end of the day. This is what I care about. It's what gives me life. And I'm so honored to be able to share this with you and everyone who's listening. I always say, if I can just get even one person, it's one, that's 90,000 people. So I'm good.
90,000 right here.
One person, right? Like everything makes a difference.
I love it.
Energy,
because we do feel so helpless at times, and that was one of the things that I posted on my Instagram right after the school shootings. Like we all feel so helpless. Like, how long is it going to take for real change to be made in legislation, or thinking about, even if it's not about guns, mental health, it's taking a lifetime for us to make those changes. But we can make an immediate difference in our everyday interactions with people by, like you said, optimism and having a non-judgmental attitude. That was one of the things that me and George
and those just are just two things, right? So if you step it up, you will increase that number, right? So if you're someone who is living in service every single day, that number is just upping and upping, and you're just part of the collective that's just raising the vibration of the planet. Right. And it's just, it's amazing. It's little things, little by little steps. It's the little things really that amount to really big, outcomes, right? So
before we leave, I would love to ask you just a few fun questions, since it's all been super amazing, but I just want to have a little fun at the end. So I'm going to ask you. Of
course. I'm always down for fun.
Hey guys, don't even think about it. Just go ahead and tell us, just so we can get to know Kristine Kozuki of Pink Moon Aura a little more. Okay, sis, ready? Yes. What was your first job?
Oh gosh, I worked, believe it or not, like I worked at my family's bakery on Maui since I was like 7 years old. So,
girl, you don't look like you worked at a bakery
in Wai'ehu. So my mom is from the Philippines, so she put me to work like super young. So
we got some Filipinos in the house today.
Putting little manju labels on like little, manju packets, like.
What bakery was it? Do we know the name?
Homemade bakery in Wailuku.
Oh yes, they're famous.
So my grandma opened that. So the entrepreneurial spirit, it runs like pretty thick in my blood.
Absolutely. I was gonna say either Komoda's, which is right across the street from you, or
it's funny too, because my friend's family owns Komoda's too, and we're all my other good friend owns Four Sisters, so we're like, we got like the bakery like crew. Hilarious, but it's awesome though.
Well, what is your favorite food?
Oh gosh, Hawaiian food. I always, if I had to choose one last meal, I would choose Hawaiian plate all the way.
Like kalua pig or
salmon, hopia, rice, mac salad. Like that's just, I'm always in the mood for that.
Me too. Okay, what is your favorite animal?
Oh gosh, I love all animals, but you know what? I love cats. I do. I used to have a dog too. Unfortunately, I had to leave her in the Big Island, but I love cats because they're spiritual protectors. So I always feel.
Hear that, Christina?
Yeah, they're actually, people are always like, well, cats don't do anything. I'm like, oh yes, they do. They release the spirits out. They keep you safe energetically. They're energetic animals.
Oh my God, that's amazing to hear.
It's a fact. Yeah.
Christina, that makes me so happy to know.
So if you have, and they're really good for feng shui. So like if you have a cat in the house, there's really good energy. And people who have like kind of weird vibes in their home as well, like cats are great for that because it kind of scare them out. That's kind of what their vibe is.
Ooh, I might need to get myself a cat. I grew up with tons of cats as well, black ones too. We had lots of black ones. What is your, this might be a loaded question, but
yes.
What is your favorite chakra? Is that even a question?
Oh gosh, I'm sacral all the way.
Okay.
I'm orange. I'm Maui. I'm all those vibes. I love enjoyment, pleasure. And I always tell people I resonate. Like if I had to choose a vibe, I would say I resonate at joy because I feel joyful all the time. My stepdaughter always tells me that I remind her of Joy from Inside Out. You
I
know,
love
always
Inside
trying
Out.
to like do all the things to create all the little memories and make sure that everyone's like high vibe, right? So I was like, oh, that's like the sweetest compliment ever.
That is, and that movie is incredible. Okay, last question. What's your favorite store?
Oh gosh, store like in general. I love I'm really not like a brand name kind of gal, but I just love like Goodwill. I know it sounds terrible, but I love thrift shops. I love just, vintage clothing, and I'm kind of a fashionista at heart. I just love
Yeah, you are.
to sew, and I was a seamstress in a past life, so I used to actually make clothing in the Big Island. I made a lot of like, outfits for some of the girls doing Mary Monarch. I have some friends who are avid hula dancers who dance for Halau. So I was really into that in my early 20s. It was a really awesome creative outlet. But and that's kind of what I'm into, is like more vintage, more, kind of those older pieces that weren't like mass produced in like factories. And that's kind of like, and I'm always at Goodwill. So
Girl, you should talk to McKenna Maduli. She does a whole fashion show, like TV special with Goodwill Goes Glam, and she does like fashion shows about Goodwill and everything. Do you have anything to say about like energy from clothes? Like, would you recommend like
oh
putting a selenite
yeah.
wand over like old clothes to make sure that none of the bad
You
juju?
know, gosh, to me, clothing it has a vibe on its own, the same way plants have energy, crystals have energy. Just, when you set up your home, and it's a vibe, right? So clothes is the same way. Like when you put on an outfit, it's like it makes you feel really good. It's like putting on a different like vibe, right? So for me, I try, if I'm feeling really down or just kind of blah, like I'll force myself to dress up and put makeup on and put all the jewelry and all the things to make me feel like a goddess. And when I look like a goddess and I feel like I'm a goddess, and you're gonna
Act like a goddess.
the goddess energy with me. So,
I love it. I love it so much. We've learned so much from you tonight. Thank you so much, Kristine.
oh,
Can
thank
we
you
all
for
give it up
having me.
for her,
I'm so
everybody?
honored.
All right. Well, we love you guys. We'll see you later. Thank you, everybody,
Thank you
for
so
listening out
much.
there. Go visit
Have
Native
a great day. Bye,
Maui.
everyone.
Bye, everybody. Love you
Aloha.
guys. Bye.